Welcome everyone to Embrace the Journey Day 1. So this is my signature online workshop that I run once or twice a year. It is a free 3-day live series that I am so excited to be bringing to you today. Now, before we begin, I want to give you an idea of what to expect because, it's all very well to do these practices and to go through the motions, but the important thing I feel for me is to give you an understanding, first of all, where I come from and the way that I teach and why I do the work that I do, but also what are the reasons that we are doing these practices and what are we hoping to achieve as a result from doing them. So I think that's a really, really important thing to consider. So we're going to spend the first sort of 10, 15 minutes. I'm going to go through a little bit of my journey. It's a whole experience that I have planned. So I'm excited to take you through that. And then we are going to jump into the practices. So a few things that I want to mention before we begin. These practices that we're going to do on our mats today are completely safe, no matter where you are on your journey of trying to conceive. And they are also safe no matter where you are in your cycle, your menstrual cycle. There are going to be a few different poses where if you are menstruating or if you are going through fertility treatments that I recommend you modify. And when I modify these for you, if you don't do the modifications, you aren't going to hurt your body or upset any potential outcomes for your treatment cycle. They're going to make you feel more comfortable. That is the thing. Everything that we're doing is safe no matter where you are. So I want you just to know that as we go and listen out for those cues. Now, in saying that, fertility yoga is it's a very gentle form of yoga. We're going to do some slow flows throughout our series. And but even in saying that, if you're finding any of the poses are not for you, they don't feel comfortable, you have the option just to meet back in child's pose, take a breather, come back to them when you feel ready. But like I said, this is not like a power flow kind of session. This is really about breath, connecting you with your body, making you feel good. So I just wanted to mention that before we begin. So our 3 days, what we're going to be doing is focusing on a few different things throughout the days. Today will be a really mindful slow flow practice where you get the opportunity to start tuning in with your body and noticing how these practices feel for you. I will explain as we go through our practices what they're doing physically for your body and how they're going to support your fertility. So I'll just teach you and educate along the way. And the whole purpose of this series and my reason for being here is to really give you back the tools that you need to navigate your journey, because I know exactly, like, if I think back to my fertility journey from the beginning right to, throughout IVF treatments, and all of it was hard. Just all of it was so hard. So I want to be able to give you these tools that you can take with you and use when you need them. There's going to be little moments throughout each of the practices we go, I might use that when I'm next in the waiting room, or I'm going to use that when I'm, in a meeting and feeling really overwhelmed and I can't focus on anything else. So lots of little tools along the way. And I just would you like to be able to have a bit more peace and stillness and calm in your life as you are trying to navigate this journey of trying to conceive? So that is what I want to give to you today and next day and the day after that. Now, I want to mention right now, just so you are aware, throughout this series, once we finish on Thursday, I know for my North American friends, it's actually Monday for you. So you'll finish on Wednesday. If these practices resonated with you and you want to go a little bit deeper, Monday next week, you do have the opportunity to join my online In Your Element Fertility Yoga program. Now, this is something that is a month-to-month program. It is $39 a month, no joining fees, no lock-in contracts. It's something that you can try for yourself, and that is where we get to really personalize these practices to what you are going through. We also incorporate the best of the sciencey world within this program as well. So I have a fertility nurse on staff, a fertility nutritionist. We bring in fertility doctors, all sorts of experts where you get to ask your questions to them directly. So that is something that I will talk about a little bit at the end. And if you've got any questions, you can email me, DM me, let me know while we're going. So That's something that will be available on Monday for just a few days or until places are full. So we're going to get into it. Now, this is very un-yoga teacher for me. I have prepared a very short little presentation for you. So I'm just going to share my screen, and I would love for you to, if you can't, just let me know if there is any issues seeing my screen. Let me know. But I think I'm such a visual person, and it's lovely to be able to explain some of these things alongside some pictures. So 10 minutes before we start, I want to go through with you a little bit about me and my journey, the 3 ways that yoga is going to support your body and your fertility and your overall health. And then we'll explain a little bit about today's yoga practice, and we'll get straight into it. So let's begin. All right. I got married when I was 33. This is my husband. And yes, he dyed his hair blonde for our wedding, which is a thing for another day. I was 33. We got married. We had no health issues. We had no reason to think that we would ever have any trouble conceiving. Sadly, that wasn't how our journey worked out. And soon after we got married, I went off birth control, and my period never returned. My cycle never came back. And how long did we wait? I think after about 3 or 4 months, I went back to my doctor and I said, look, went off birth control, no sign of my cycle. Is this an issue? She was like, no, don't worry. It takes some people a few months for these things to kind of level out. Don't worry about it. Just keep waiting. So we waited and we waited, and I think I saw a Chinese medicine doctor. I decided to take a few supplements, went down the natural route. But after about a year, there was still no sign of my cycle coming back. So we went back to my doctor, who said, look, a year is a long time. I think you need to go and see a fertility specialist. So we did. And he ran a whole bunch of tests, and basically he came back and said, you've gone through early menopause. And he said to us that IVF is probably your only option and you need to do it straight away. And we thought, look, gosh, like that was such a shock. We're not ready to jump straight into IVF. I said, look, the only problem is like, I'm not ovulating. Let's try that. So I was given ovulation induction medications for a few rounds, and it didn't make me ovulate at all. So we started to get pretty worried, and we thought, okay, maybe he was right. Maybe IVF is the only option for us. So we were living overseas. We were living in Bangkok, and there was a whole bunch of good clinics in the city. So, we decided on one that we really liked. We found a doctor that we really liked, and we thought, look, we'll just do it. This is something that's actually going to work finally. It's been 18 months by now since I've been off birth control. Let's just do it. So we started our first round of IVF, and I didn't respond to the medications at all. So I was on really high dose injections, and I would go in every couple of days to get my bloods done, to get my ultrasounds done on my ovaries, and there was no response within my body at all. And if you're unfamiliar with kind of the process of IVF, that's really bad. That's bad news. And so after about 14 days of stimulation treatments, our cycle was cancelled because there was no eggs to collect. This was a really hard time. And we were left in the place where we thought, well, look, I don't know if having a family is actually going to be an option for us. But we were pretty overwhelmed, and we thought, look, let's just take a moment. We decided to change clinics. We worked with a fertility naturopath for a few months. And the new doctor that we found, she said, look, I actually think we can do a few other things. I don't like the protocol that you did the first time. Let's try a few more things. So we did, and it was the second round of treatments that we did. It didn't go amazingly well, but I did respond to the medication, and we did end up getting one little untested embryo. And we thought, look, we'll just do a fresh transfer. We'll see what happens. We will try our luck. And that little girl is now 7. And gosh, you can still feel the immersion in my voice. It was such a long time ago, but that one little embryo made it all the way. So that was our first journey of trying to conceive. Now, my husband Roger there and we are both only children, and we dreamed, like, God, I'd have 10 kids if I could, but we dreamed of having 2 kids. So we thought, We'll wait a year, we'll go back to IVF, we'll complete our family, we'll move on. So something really amazing and unexpected happened. When my daughter was 1, I stopped breastfeeding and my period returned. My cycle came back. We were like, yes, the universe has answered our prayers. The second journey is going to be so much easier. But sadly, that was not the way things worked out. We were so excited. We're like, cool, we can just try naturally. We never even got an option to do that the first time. So we jumped into it and we thought, great, it's going to work out so easily. Not so much. So we tried for about 6 months, and then we'd moved. We were living in Dubai at this stage. So we went back to a new doctor, and I said, look, how old was I? I was probably 37 by this stage. And I said, we want to have another baby. Had all these problems the first time, got my cycle, things aren't happening. Can you do some more tests? So she ran a few tests. And we ended up with a whole bunch of new fertility issues, which I never in a million years saw coming. So I developed a thyroid condition. We found out that my AMH levels were pretty much zero. They were very, very close to zero. I had very high FSH, which is a signal again of approaching early menopause. And we also found out my husband had a whole bunch of male factor issues, which weren't an issue the first time. I also developed chronic insomnia, so I was just an absolute mess at this time. And so our doctor said, look, we can try a few rounds of ovulation induction. We can give you some progesterone to support your cycle. So we did about 6 rounds of that. So I was taking letrozole, we were going in, we were timing ovulation, we were using progesterone, I was on thyroid medication. God, I was taking 3 different types of sleeping tablets. We were rotating just to help me get some sleep. I was a mess, to put it lightly. None of this worked. And then my doctor did a hycosi to check if my tubes were open. And she said, it looks like your fallopian tubes are partially blocked. And I was like, okay, I think that solves that problem. And she's like, look, your only option is to go back to IVF. We were so disappointed. We were like, God, this was like the one thing we thought was going to actually be easy, and it's ended up being a lot more difficult. But we thought IVF worked the last time. Let's do it, get it done, and we can just move on with our lives. So we did. But then something else happened. And after our 3rd round of IVF wasn't successful, we got 2 perfect little embryos out of that cycle. Neither of the transfers worked. And then we went into lockdown over COVID. This was in March of 2020. And this was what I thought was the very end of my journey. Because fertility clinics all closed. We were considered non-essential surgery. So it was like, well, too bad. That's the end of that. I had friends whose cycles were cancelled like mid-cycle. It was an awful time to be doing IVF. So we thought that was the end of our journey. It was around this time that a friend of mine that I used to work with, who was a yoga teacher, she said to me, Jen, I've got this friend who teaches fertility yoga. Do you want to give it a go? And I was like, no, not really. I was a Pilates teacher. I'd been teaching Pilates and movement and training for about 12 years at this stage. I never understood yoga. I never really liked it. I never got it. I thought it was boring. I was like, why are we lying here? Can we do some push-ups? Like, this is such a waste of time. But I thought, I have tried everything else. I've taken the 19 different supplements per day. I've done acupuncture 3 times a week. I've done hypnosis, fertility massage, reflexology, all the meditation. Like, nothing has worked. And I was in lockdown, couldn't go to work, couldn't do IVF. I thought, I'll give it a go. And here is where my life took a massive change and like a huge turn that I never saw coming, because my yoga practice was the one thing that I hadn't done on this whole journey. We were up to, what was this, like 5 years by now. I had never taken a moment to stop and slow down. I was like, what's the next thing? What's the next treatment? What's the next doctor? Let's go. But not for a moment did I ever stop to think, perhaps all my body needs is a break. Maybe I need some time just to stop and see what my body really needs. So I thought, look, I'll give it a go. And it was a gift. After a few weeks, I noticed some small things started to shift. So I worked with this beautiful yoga teacher. She gave me some practices to do each day. They were so easy, they were so gentle. The first thing I noticed is I would wake up in the morning and I would feel lighter. My whole life just felt less miserable because I know how heavy this journey is, how it takes over every moment of every day. I think I was nicer to my husband. He can probably attest to that. Um, and then some bigger things started to change. My insomnia disappeared, which was life changing in itself. And I was like, do you know what? If this yoga practice makes my insomnia gone, then I'm done. I'll do it for the rest of my life. And then my thyroid condition started to heal. I would go in to get my bloods done, and without changing my medication, my results would come back and they would have improved. And then in July of 2020, I fell pregnant naturally. And gosh, we were, I'm getting so emotional. We were blown away. Like that was an understatement. I couldn't believe it. I took so many pregnancy tests. I was like, this is too good to be true. Anyway, we went to the doctor. We got the pregnancy confirmed. My HCG levels were rising. Everything looked amazing. But sadly, we lost that baby at 8 weeks. This was a really hard time. Look, you can see like 5 years ago, and I'm still getting emotional about this, but this wasn't my lowest point because I realized I had stumbled across something that had had such an enormous impact on my life. I did something that no doctor said was possible. I think I was given like a 5% chance that IVF would work, let alone falling pregnant naturally. I was told that really wasn't going to be an option for me. And I knew I could do it again. So I was like, okay, I have an exercise science background. I was like, tell me why, tell me how this had such an impact on my life. So I went and retrained as a yoga teacher. I wanted to know why and how, and I wanted to be able to do it again. So I did. I dove into all my practices, all of my training. I absolutely loved learning again. It was still COVID at this time, so a lot of the learning I had to do was online, and then finally studios opened, so I was able to go into the studio and start learning face to face. It was awesome. I employed all these principles into my own life, and then at the very, very end of 2020, like right at the end of December, I fell pregnant again, naturally. And that little boy is now 3, almost 4 next week. So that's me and my kids just a few months ago this year in Sydney. So that is my journey. And I realized that there was just so much more to this journey than people had ever told me. And I wanted to be able to bring it to other people. So that's what brings me here today. And this is what I want to teach you. I want to show you how much more capable you are. And I'm not even asking you to trust me on this journey. I want you to be able to trust yourself. That is the gift that I want to give back to you. So that's what we're going to do. And that's what we're going to start with. So, what is fertility yoga and how is it different to normal yoga? This is the question I get asked more often than anything else. So, fertility yoga is not any fancy kind of form of yoga that I've invented. But the way that fertility yoga is different to regular yoga is that we match the practices to the menstrual cycle. So there's a quick intro there, but we really work with that beautiful flow of what your body, your energy levels, and your hormones need at each phase of the cycle. And this is crucial. We're going to talk about this a little bit more in depth tomorrow. Now, how does yoga actually help your fertility? We're going to talk more about this in depth on Thursday or the last day. But the 3 main things that it really is able to work with this is on a really physical, scientific, data-based level. So it increases circulation and blood flow. As we know, blood is your body's delivery system for nutrients and for hormones. So without good blood flow, all of that goodness within the blood is not able to go where it needs to. So we're able to open out areas in the body that feel a little bit tense, allow those areas to open out, to release that physical tension that we hold most commonly in our hips, our pelvis, and across our shoulders, and that restricted position where we find breathing isn't at its full capacity. It also, this idea of cycle syncing, It's incredibly powerful for allowing your hormones to synchronize and to give you that beautiful flow of energy throughout the month. I will talk a little bit tomorrow also about what to do if you don't have a cycle, if you have hypothalamic amenorrhea or PCOS, or perhaps you're on medication. There's ways we work around that as well. And the last thing, and this is what I'm so passionate about and what I'm going to go into more detail on in the last day, is the ability of yoga and these practices to regulate your nervous system. That is going to be a game changer for you. So, all of the dysregulation that we feel, the stress, the stress hormones, cortisol, adrenaline, it has a huge impact on your body, your overall health, and your fertility. I'm going to talk a bit more about that on Thursday. So let's do it. Let's get into today's practice. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Oh, and I've seen a few more of us have joined, and let's get into it. I'm so excited. Let's go. So we don't need any props for this practice today. However, what I'm going to recommend is, if you don't feel comfortable sitting directly on the floor, like if you need like a bit of support for your hips, use some pillows, grab some cushions, fold up some blankets, whatever you need to do, and get yourself comfortable. That is my main aim. So we are going to begin. I'm going to invite you to come to your yoga mat now. And we are going to come into a comfortable seat. So bring yourself into Sukhasana or easy pose. And this is going to look different for everyone. So in cross-leg pose, you can tuck your feet underneath you. You can have your feet a little separate. I want you to take a few moments here to really arrive in your space. Make any adjustments you need so you feel comfortable, you feel supported by your mat. So we're going to be here for a few minutes as we come into our opening meditation and start to connect a little more deeply with our bodies. I'm going to take a few deep breaths with you because I always get so excited talking about all these practices and just sharing my journey and everything. So I'm going to find a bit of calm with you as well. So let's bring our hands to our low belly. I want you to connect with your womb space here and take a really long, deep breath. So let's go all the way in through the nose. And then just really slowly out through the nose. I want you to slow down your exhale just a little bit more than that inhale. And again, full deep breaths. Just noticing within your body what you're feeling today. Something that I remind my students about so much is that there is no judgment when it comes to being aware of what is here. Nothing is good nor bad. It is what it is. And I want you just to notice. So, first of all, how does your body feel today? Are you holding any tension across the brow, the jaw? Maybe you can drop your shoulders just a little bit more away from your ears. Are you clenching around your belly? Can you bring a bit more softness into the pelvis? Relaxing the fingers, the toes. And then just noticing any emotions that are present for you. How do you feel today? Do you feel overwhelmed, sad, excited, relaxed? What thoughts are coming up? Maybe you notice those recurring thoughts and thought patterns, that rumination. Now that we've noticed everything and we're not pushing anything away, I want you to come back to your breath and see if we can deepen that breath just a little bit more. Really lengthen your spine, widen your chest, open your collarbones, your heart center here. And just noticing the rise, the fall of your chest, your belly. There's something that I often love to invite in at the beginning of my practices here is to open a space to communicate here with your womb. And this might feel a little weird or a little silly if it's not something that you're used to doing. So just be open. I want you to ask your womb if there is anything she wants you to know. Now, we don't need to be attached to receiving any particular messages or anything as an outcome. Just be open. The more we're able to cut out the noise, come into stillness, you would be amazed sometimes at the things that come up. You might want to take a few moments now to send all of your own loving prayers and wishes and thoughts to your womb, to remind her of how loved she is. Let's bring the left hand to the heart center here. Now, the heart is the center here of self-love, compassion. It is a place that tends to get very closed, very blocked when we've been on this journey, especially for a long time. We close our heart down to possibilities, to hope, because we don't want to get disappointed again. And when that happens, we tend to lose that sense of trust, lose that sense of connection to our bodies and what we are capable of. So all of those messages of love that you sent to your womb, to your baby's first home, that space of creation, I want you to send all of those same messages to your heart, right into yourself. And just remind yourself of how loved you are. Hmm. Just take one more full breath here. Now let's bring our hands together at prayer and rest your hands in at your heart. And I invite you now to set an intention for your practice today. Now, your intention can be anything that resonates for you. Maybe it's what you're calling into your life. Maybe it's what you're ready to let go of. Just know whatever comes into mind is usually exactly what you need. So we're going to take this intention with us throughout our practice today. Let's take one more full breath in. Really open out the chest, lengthen the spine. And as you exhale, you can just softly blink your eyes open and then release your arms. And just give your shoulders a little bit of a roll. Give your hands a little bit of a fingers a wiggle, wrists a roll, anything else that you need to do. So we're going to come into some really gentle movements now, and I'll explain as we go how they help you and how they help your body. So let's just start by placing the hands beside us. We want to be in a nice tall straight line through the spine. We're going to float one arm high above us to the ceiling. Reach up tall, big inhale. And as you exhale, just lean your body over into a little side bend. Try to relax your hips, your belly. As you breathe in, lift all the way back up And then exhale, come over and across to the other side. Again, just drop down, side body reach. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale over. Just keep those going in your own time. You might want to even drop down onto the elbow if that feels comfortable, possible for you. Don't worry if your hips lift a little bit off the floor as you go. So spinal movements are really important throughout our fertility practice. And the main reason being is that the energy centers, those chakra centers, they run up along the spine. So the more we are able to start increasing physical movement and blood flow, the more we're able to get that energy flowing along the spine. And there's lots of really gentle, safe ways that we do this. We'll do quite a few. Now, the next time that we come up, we're going to take our hand behind us and open out into a really gentle open twist. So hand behind you on the mat, opposite hand onto the knee. We're going to look over our shoulder, drop down out of any neck tension, soften the belly. As you inhale, rotate through the middle, and then exhale, twist to the other side. And we're going to keep these going in our own time as well. So flow through the front as you breathe in. Exhale, twist to the other side. Good. Now, with twists, I get asked, this is one of the biggest questions I get asked is, especially if you're going through fertility treatments, but also a little bit in the 2-week wait as well. I get asked so often, my doctor told me not to twist. Why are we doing twists? So there's some truth in that. We want to avoid deep closed twists during our fertility series. They're actually totally safe in the earlier phases of your cycle, in the follicular phase and the ovulatory phase in the middle. But open twists are what we want to focus on in our fertility series most of all, because closed twists are where we mostly rotate the lower back, and we've usually got our knees close to our chest, and we're coming to that really deep twist that puts a lot of pressure on the abdomen. Open twists, like the one we're doing right now, you see there's no pressure on the low belly at all. We're literally just moving that thoracic spine, the upper back. Let's do one more each way. Twists are incredibly important because, as I said, spinal movement is important. It allows blood flow to come into our central organs here, our reproductive organs as well. So we want to include them, but we want to do it safely. So please note throughout our practice, only twists that we will be doing are open and gentle. All right. We're going to pop our hands onto our knees and come into a seated cat-cow. So roll back away from your legs, drop your chin to your chest, and then roll forwards. We inhale, lift up the chest, lift up the chin, roll back your shoulders, and then roll back. Exhale. Inhale, roll forwards. Just keep those going in your own time. So seated cat-cow is a really lovely way to start just getting that energy flowing a little bit more into both the upper and lower back. We tend to find that low back is one of those areas, along with our hips, that we hold so much tightness and tension, as well as our neck and shoulders. You know, in moments of stress, both of these areas tend to tighten up a lot. So all of the work that we do in these practices is going to help to release physical tension through these areas. And along with that release of physical tension, I often find brings emotional releases as well. So I'm going to guide you through that really gently. Now, the next time you roll back away from your legs, just hold, just stay there for a moment. So you're going to roll to one side now. We're going to take our seated hip circle. This is called our Sufi grind. You're going to roll forward, inhale, roll back, exhale. So we still go through that cat and cow position. We just start to get more movement around through the hips. This is one of my favorite poses in our fertility series, and it's wonderful because it just allows you a really nice gentle way to connect breath with movement with your body. So I invite you to close your eyes and just watch your breath. Inhale, come forward. Exhale, roll back. Can you soften your belly a little bit more? Just sending blood flow, energy down to the hips, the pelvis. Just let go of all that tension. Now let's reverse the other way. you'll find that we do a lot of circular movements in our fertility series. And the reason being is that flowing and circular movements wake up that very feminine energy, that Shakti energy that gets very, very stuck or what's the best word? Kind of stagnant or just forgotten about when we're going through something like fertility struggles because we get very closed off from that area and we think that, our bodies are not cooperating, they're not doing what we want them to be doing, and that energy gets very, very forgotten. So one of my jobs is to help you release it, wake it all up. And that's going to feel awesome when you do. So we're going to come back just to a place of center, and I just find I have to sway a little a little bit after doing that. If you find that you're swaying a little bit, that's fine. Go with it. But just come back into a place of stillness. Take a big breath. Beautiful. Now we are going to move over to our tabletop position from here. So if you're sitting on any props, just move them over to the side. We're going to come over to all fours from here. So we're going to start off, bring your hands right underneath your shoulders. Let your knees rest right underneath your hips. We're just going to start by giving our tail a little bit of a wag. So just rock your pelvis a little bit from side to side. And just notice how your hips feel. How's your lower back feel? Do you notice just here whether maybe there's a bit more tightness sitting in one hip than the other? And then let's start to get the shoulders involved. So if you lean your hips to the right, lean your shoulders to the left and turn your head, look back at your feet. And then switch it over to the other side. So lean the hips, draw the head across. So creating a little bit of space in the side body here. And just starting to, again, notice whether one side of the body feels different to the other. And again, there is no judgment, there's no concern. We are just using movement and our poses to become more aware of how the body feels. Even out here, both sides. And then make your way back to center as we move into our cat-cow. So drop your belly towards the mat. Roll back your shoulders and lift up your chest. Maybe even you want to lift your chin, open up your throat if that feels okay on your neck. And then with your exhale, let's round the spine. So press into the hands, scoop the ribs in, tuck your chin to your chest, and then roll that out the other way once again. Big inhale. Full exhale, and just keep those going in your own time. And just allowing as much movement as you can to come into both directions. Invite you to close your eyes and work alongside your breath with here. So inhale, rolling it out. Look forward. Exhale, rounding the spine. And just keep those going slowly and gently. And let's make this our last one each way. You might really notice like how stiff your spine is if you haven't given it much attention lately. But we're going to be able to notice throughout our practice that more flow, more movement comes into it as we go. So let's walk our hands forward. Now, I'm going to just invite you to start shifting your hips forwards and backwards here a little bit. So let's start nice and small. So you want to think about supporting yourself here with your arms and your legs, but let that belly be really soft. So it's not quite like we're sitting back in a child's pose. You want to keep your hips a little bit higher up than the heels. And then you can start to shift forward a little bit more. So letting the hips drop a little closer to the mat, open out the abdomen, open out the hip flexors, and then shift all the way back. And so use your inhale, come forward, almost like an upward facing dog. Nice and gently. Exhale, shifting back, stretch out the spine. Good, let's take 2 more of those in each direction. Again, I want you to be slow and mindful with your movements. There's no rush. Just continue to work alongside your breath. And now shifting back, I want you to drop down onto your elbows. So you're going to leave your hips just up above the knees.
And when your elbows are resting down, you can relax your hands. We let the head drop. So I want you to feel really, really heavy through the head. You can shake out a little tension, nod the chin back and forth a little bit. You just feel like the whole head is just heavy and dropping to the floor. Soften your belly. So this is our modified puppy pose. I love puppy pose because it does a whole bunch of things for us at once. If you want to go a little deeper, we're going to shift the hips slightly back and allow your forehead to rest on the mat. Now, if that's not possible for you, just stay a little more upright and keep your elbows supporting you. If you can rest your forehead down, you can stretch your arms out as well and lengthen the spine. And then option just to go even deeper, you can let your chin rest on the mat and think about dropping your chest closer to the floor. Puppy pose is wonderful because it's a really gentle inversion. So you get all the benefits of that reverse of blood flow, all those benefits for the endocrine system here, but it's also such a nice way to open out tension in the pelvis and the heart center as well. I'm going to stay here for one more full breath. Really expand your ribs, get as much air and space in as you can. And then with your next exhale, we're all going to shift back into child's pose. So just let your hips draw down onto your heels. Let your head reach towards the floor. If you want more space for your belly, just take your knees wider if that feels more comfortable. Completely up to you. If your knees are uncomfortable in child's pose, just stay a little more upright. So you can lift the hips up off the heels if you have to. You can also pop a pillow under your hips. That's a nice way to support knee tension. Beautiful. And just stay here for a few deep breaths. Following your exhale, listening to the sound of your breath, slowing it all down. You may notice when we come into these more restorative poses that sometimes we get little gurgles through our tummy. And this is an awesome sign that you're starting to come into regulation of your nervous system. It's your body switching into that rest and digest state. So if you ever feel or hear any gurgles in your tummy, know that that is a good thing. And there my tummy goes. Good. Let's take one more full breath here. Beautiful. Now just slowly lift yourself up to all fours on your mat. Beautiful. Tuck your toes. And we're going to come into our standing forward fold. So walk your hands towards your knees and we're going to rock back onto our feet. Bend your knees so that you can get your fingertips to the floor. If you can't, don't worry, just reach down. But nice, big, generous bend of the legs. We're not trying to straighten out the legs here. Now, forward folds are a really common part of our fertility practice because they are very calming and regulating for the nervous system. And standing forward folds like this one are also wonderful because we are getting that inversion benefit as well. We're very slightly reversing that blood flow towards the head, towards the throat, the thyroid gland. And now we're going to rock back a little bit onto the heels, a little bit onto the toes. Just start now to stretch out the back of the body a little bit. Lengthening the legs, the spine. Go ahead, center yourself on your feet. You're going to grab a hold of opposite elbows and add a little rock like a rag doll if that feels good. Sway side to side. Nice big breaths here. And now let's come back and find our center, reaching fingertips back to the mat. Now we're going to take our time really slowly, full breath in and use your exhale to slowly roll up to standing. So as we come up here into Tadasana, our mountain pose, please take your time. Just give your shoulders a few big rolls. So we've been down for a while. I want you just to take a moment to allow that energy and that blood flow to return down to the legs. Good. Reach your arms high above you towards the ceiling or the sky. Hands together at prayer. Bring them down into your heart center, and we're going to rest the hands here for a moment. Just hold. Really feel that width across the chest. I want you to come back to your intention that you set at the start of your practice today.
And as you remind yourself of your intention, just take a moment to notice what is present. How does your body feel? Has anything shifted? Are there different emotions or different thoughts that are starting to come up? And once you've just taken a moment to notice, to be present with what is there, come back to your breath. Beautiful. Release your hands to your hips. Take the feet slightly wider than the pelvis and just soften your knees. I'm going to start to draw a big circle around with the hips down. So I want you to just trace a circle now. Just like when we were doing those seated circles at the start of our practice, whenever we do movements like this, there are no rules. So you might look totally different to me. I tend to kind of get my whole body involved, my shoulders kind of rolling as well. But you might just be doing like little salsa circles with your hips. That might feel good. The idea of these circular movements is really just to wake up that energy and to get that circulation and blood flow going and drawing it in towards the reproductive organs here. So you're going to find what works for you. Good. Now let's take our time as we go around the opposite direction. So big circles around. Just slowing down your breath. If you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes for the last few circles here. That's it. Beautiful. And then just come back and find that center and pause here for a moment. That's it. Beautiful. So we're going to work with our breath now to release both physical and emotional tension. Interlace your fingers and just reach your palms high above you. So stretch everything up, opening across your chest. I'm going to start by taking a little side bend. Go over whichever side you like, lean across, and just feel that stretch coming from the outside of the ribs to the hip. We're going to take a full breath in. Now, as you exhale, we're going to bend the knees, circle the hands down towards the feet. And then inhale, come up the other side. Go through side bend, over and across, back to the other side. Exhale, let it go. Inhale, lift. Big sigh, big exhale down. Lift it up. Let's take two more in this direction, just being nice and slow with your movements. Forward fold down, let it go. That's it. Last one here now. We're going to meet all the way back up above you. Reach your arms high, really stretch out the spine. That's it. And then lean over to the other side. So feel that side bend first. Take a big breath in and then bend the knees, let it go, release down. Circle back up and let it go. So do three more in your own time, and then we're going to meet back up in Tadasana. And then reaching back all the way to the middle. Let your arms go. Let them just fall beside you. Breathe. Just notice, how do you feel? Often when we actually give ourselves permission and space to let go, we don't even realize how much we've been holding on to here. You might feel like lots of energy moving through the body now, tingling, hands, feet. Just notice what's there. And so we're going to bring our feet back underneath the hips here, just a hip distance apart. Inhale, sweep those arms back above you, palms together at prayer. Reach up, look to the ceiling, maybe even adding in a little back bend. Really open the heart. Now as we exhale, hands to heart center, bow forwards. When you can't go any further with straight legs, bend the knees, forward fold. Take a halfway lift. Inhale, stretch out your legs, stretch out
through that spine. Squeeze shoulder blades. Exhale, fold. Now walk your hands back down to the mat. So from here, come back to all fours. Beautiful. So we're going to relax the feet, sitting back on the heels. Now again, if this isn't comfortable on your knees, you might want to put a pillow or a bolster underneath your hips. We're going to come into our modified hero's pose. So walk your hands behind you, palms flat on the mat. Roll back your shoulders, lift your chest, and as you inhale, lift up your hips. We're going to squeeze a little bit here into our glutes, our bottom muscles, but soften through your belly. So let your abdomen be as relaxed as you can. With your next exhale, just allow the hips to come back down to the feet. And we'll go for two more. Inhale, lift up, opening the chest. So it's a beautiful way to open the heart, open the hips, and let it go. Let's do one more. Big inhale. This time you may even want to lift up through the chin, open the throat, and if it feels comfortable, you can let your head draw back, but just take your time. And then gently nod the chin forward and release those hips down. So let's counter this with a forward fold. So walk your hands in front, give your wrist a little roll out if you need to. Now, if you are menstruating today and your bleed is on a heavier side, I would like you to take child's pose. For everyone else, we're going to take downward facing dog. So tuck your toes, bend your knees and lift your hips to the ceiling or to the sky. I love it when I have some students that bring their laptops outside and practice in the garden. It's awesome. So let's start off just by, if you're in your down dog, adjust the hands and the feet so you feel nice and steady. I'm going to begin by pedaling out the legs here. So one leg stretches and bends in your own time. Now, if you are in child's pose, I want you just to stay there and breathe and relax. If you're up in your down dog here, again, this is one of the poses where it does a lot for us. We don't have to think about it too much. Again, you're getting all the benefits of that gentle inversion. And here we get to open out tension in the back of the hips and the pelvis and the legs. And it's a heart opener as well. Now let's drop tension out of neck and shoulders. Now, if you're in your down dog, once you're ready here, let's stretch out both legs. Allow your heels to draw down, your hips to lift a little higher. Draw your chest slightly closer to your thighs if you can. We're going to find what we call our Ujjayi breath. So if you're not sure what that is, it's with an exhale, a constriction of the back of the throat. And it's a way to really, again, calm and soothe our nervous system. If you're not sure how to do this, imagine you are fogging up a mirror. So you know when you go on a mirror and it fogs up? So imagine you're doing that, but then close your mouth. And you can feel that constriction in the back of the throat. That is your Ujjayi breath. I'm going to stay for two more breaths. If you need to come down out of the pose at any moment you need. Beautiful. Now with your next exhale, if you're in down dog, come down. We are all going to meet in child's pose. So come back to the mat, roll out your wrists if you need to, and soften your body down. Just let it all go. So from here, let's float ourselves up to a high kneeling position. Now, all of these kneeling exercises, yeah, they're totally safe, like no matter where you are in your cycle. But if you have knee issues or you just find you need more support, you can fold your mat over to double it up or just pop a pillow under your knees if you need to, okay? So starting off here, just tuck the tailbone under a little bit to really open out here across the front of the hips. Reach your arms up and back like you're in a cactus. So you've got about a right angle here at the elbows and just reach those arms back. Take a little back bend here. Expand the chest. Good. Nice big breath in. And exhale, release. Now let's bring our right leg and step the foot forwards. And to make this pose a little bit deeper, you're just going to make your foot move further in front. So we're going to come into our low lunge, hands on the front knee. Let's shift our hips back
and drop into our low lunge here. So we're opening out our left hip flexors, the belly, we're lifting our chest. Shift back out of the pose with your inhale, and then exhale, shift into it once again. And just make sure this knee feels comfortable. Pad up the knee if you need to. Beautiful. Now, as you do this, feel like there's a lot of tension that you're trying to grip on with. If that is the case, a little modification I like to offer with our low lunge is to bring your hands down onto the floor. So hands will go to the left side of the mat. You're going to move your foot to the right side, and we can just shift the hips back and forth from here. Sometimes, if you've got the range, it just allows you to drop a little bit more into that pelvis here. So take all the tension out of the abdomen, out of the hip flexors. You might want to give your hips a little bit of a wiggle around. Roll back your shoulders, lift up your chest. Just really feel that expansion through the body. That's it. And now with your next inhale, we're going to shift this back into a half split. So walk your hands back a little to the center of the mat. So half splits here, we're aiming to stretch out this front leg, but it does not matter if this leg is not straight. It can be bent. You can either rest your hands, fingertips on the floor, or we can come up and just rest on that front thigh. Allow your body to drop forward if you want to go a little deeper. Set these yin poses. I know they can feel a little uncomfortable. You be gentle with yourself. You're not forcing them. Good. Come forward back into that low lunge. Really drop through the pelvis. Hopefully this feels just a little more open. Full inhale. Exhale, shifting back. Take that half split. Nicely done. Now walking back to tabletop position. Come back to all fours and just rock the hips out a little bit. Let go side to side. Beautiful. That's it. Now we're going to take either child's pose if you are menstruating today, or if you just want a little rest, come back, take child's pose. Otherwise, tuck your toes, come back to downward facing dog. Stretch out the back of the body. You might want to pedal the feet a couple more times. You might just want to stay in that position and breathe. Whichever pose you have chosen, we are here for 3 long breaths. Again, come back to that Ujjayi breath. Shoulders relaxed, softening in the neck. Now let's all return to tabletop and then floating back up to that high kneeling position once again. Reach those arms up and back. Take that cactus pose. Expand your chest, your rib cage. Open the front of the body. Full breath in. And then exhale, release the arms. Left foot, we step it forward. So guiding your body back into that low lunge. So we can be either up here, resting the hands onto the front knee, if that feels good for you. Notice straight away one side feels a little tighter than the other, which is so common, especially with our hips. Now, option just to drop hands onto the mat. If you just want to really let go, if you've got the kind of the range and it feels good, then sink down. You can let all of the weight just be held in your arms, your legs, and it's where you can let the weight of your pelvis just sink you into that release. You can do a little wiggle, getting in a bit deeper into that hip. Beautiful. Now let's shift it back into that half split. So walking back, remember, don't force that leg to straighten. You can be up if that's a little bit nicer for you. Option to fold forward to go deeper if you want to. And let's walk back to that low lunge. Really let that hip go. Full breath in, roll back shoulders, lift up the chest. Oh, I could do this all day. And then shift it back, take that half split. And then let's return to tabletop here, everyone.
And once again, just hands down, let your hips gently rock side to side. Beautiful. Now we are going to walk ourselves forward and come down onto our belly. So we've got a really gentle couple of poses here. These are so calming, these belly down poses here. We're going to start off just by making a little pillow for our head. So you're going to fold your arms in front. You can either rest your forehead down or you can turn your head to the side. And here I want you to allow the whole body just to rest. And this is a restorative pose, and we're going to move into our crocodile breathing in a moment, but just notice every part of your body that's touching the mat now. The tops of the feet, the thighs, belly, chest, arms. Feeling held, just feeling grounded, supported. Now, crocodile breath is just a full belly breath where you allow your abdomen to expand into the mat. Just feel that very gentle pressure. And then the exhale, we allow the body to melt. So just feel yourself literally just melting into the floor. There's so few things we do throughout our day where we are belly down, and especially as women, we're told from such a young age, like, suck your tummy in, stand up straight, don't let everything hang out. But that's the exact opposite of what I want you to do. Let it all go. Unless you are a belly sleeper, probably don't ever really get that feeling of helding, heldness. What's the word? That feeling of being held in the front here. It's sort of like the mat gives you a hug. Slow down your exhale. Now I want you to start to very gently wobble your legs, rock your legs and hips from side to side. So you're going to do this with as little effort as possible. So really lazy little rocks, like your thighs and your butt and your hips are just made of jelly. Just imagine a little wibble wobble on a plate here, side to side. Nice full breaths. That's it. And then just coming to a stop. Again, find softness. Rocking motions is something we do a lot in our fertility work. Rocking is one of the most soothing tools that you can use to calm your nervous system. It goes back to when we are little babies in the womb. We're always rocking babies and finding rocking chairs and soothing them, swaying, and your nervous system never forgets how comforting that is. Now we are all going to meet back in child's pose. So I want you to take your time, press yourself up, releasing all the way back. Come down and let it go. Just let your head rest if you can. Slowing down your breath. And then just slowly make your way up to sitting. Give your shoulders a little roll. I hope that you're starting just to feel that shift, a little bit of a change within you. We're going to come down onto our backs. So lie down, get comfy. If you want to use any pillows for your head, you absolutely can. So once you're lying down on your mat, we're going to start off here by drawing those knees towards our chest and just giving yourself a little hug. You can rock from side to side here, just massaging and releasing any tightness, any tension out of that lower back.
Now bring the hands onto the knees. Just let your feet rest side by side. You're going to trace some circles around with those legs. So this is Apanasana here, our supine hip circles. We're laying on our back and just allowing the knees to draw around. Try to let the legs be really floppy. Just sort of let your arms guide the movements. So we're tracing that circle around the back of the pelvis. And just using your breath, your adrenal glands, where you release a lot of your um, stress hormones from. Keep going with those. I'm just going to remute all of our. Keep going with those. There we go. I found it. There we go. Now reversing to the other way. Go little circles around. That's it. So your adrenal glands, where you release all your stress hormones from, they sit just around the back of the kidneys here, around that sort of upper part of the lower back. So when we do these sorts of movements, we allow that physical release of tension from that area. Now let your feet drop back down onto the mat and just allow the feet to step as wide as your mat. Fold your arms back into that cactus pose. We're going to grab one more open twist here, this supine twist. This is a really, really lovely and gentle way to unwind tension from the abdominals, the obliques, and the lower back. And that's it, just rocking side to side. Soft belly. Beautiful. Now come back to your center and let's walk the feet together. Bring the soles of the feet together. Let the knees open and bring hands to low belly here. So this is our Supta Baddha Konasana, our reclined butterfly. This can be quite an intense pose here on its own. So I'm not going to keep you here for too long, but I just want you to take a big belly breath. And then allow tension to drop out of the hips, the pelvis. Let it go. Take one more. And then just slowly allow the knees to draw back to the middle. Extend those legs out nice and long as we come into Shavasana now. I invite you just for a few moments here to keep the hands on the lower belly and come back to just as we started our practice, where we are breathing into our womb space, just starting to open up that connection. Noticing how your body is feeling physically now on your mat. Slowing down your exhale. Now, if you feel more comfortable, you can just allow your arms to open out to the side, palms facing up. And we're going to spend the last few moments of our practice here just following our breath. Give you some time and space and stillness here. Every time that you notice that your mind has wandered and thoughts are trying to pull your attention, I want you to become aware of what is there. You can thank those thoughts, and then you can let them go. Come back to your breath. And when you feel ready now, just slowly wiggle the fingers, wiggle the toes. Take a really big breath. You might want to stretch the arms overhead, stretch out your legs, anything else that you need to do. Now just take your time. We're going to roll over to the side. And if you want, you can pause for a few more breaths on your side. Just really take your time. I want you to be slow and gentle with yourself. When you feel ready, we're going to make our way up to sitting. So coming into the place that we started here, close your eyes. Place the left hand over the heart and the right hand over the lower belly. And just remind yourself of your intention of your practice one last time today. Now, just before we finish up, in this position here, you can keep your eyes closed. I just want you to very gently sway the body a little bit left to right, front to back. Let the head release. Very gentle rocking motion. And your homework that I would like you to take with you today before we meet again tomorrow, I want you to find 2 minutes over the next 24 hours, 23 hours, and I want you to sway, whether you're standing, sitting, but I really invite you to draw inwards, closing eyes if that feels good. Put on music if you want to make it more of a dance. I want you to sway. This is one of the best regulating tools that we have. Like I said, it is such a calming and soothing thing for our nervous systems to recognize. Now we're going to come back to a place of stillness here and to bring your hands together at prayer. So we're going to close our practice today with one Om together, and chanting is a wonderful way to finish our practice. It kind of just integrates everything that we have done. So allow yourself to exhale completely. Just let all the breath go. And let's take a full breath in when you're ready. Om. Take one more big breath. And as you exhale, allow your head to bow forwards. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me today, for coming and embracing your journey with me. And I so appreciate your time, your energy, and just the choice that you have made to spend this practice with me, and I don't take it lightly either. I feel that it is a huge deal to be a part of someone's fertility journey, and that's not lost on me. So I am so excited to bring you all of this and more again tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to be speaking about cycle syncing and how moving through your life in a way that feels aligned with that very innate feminine energy that we all possess is going to help you on this journey. I'm going to teach you about cycle syncing, how yoga fits into that, and how you can incorporate other parts of your life in it as well. So if you're watching this back on the replay and you have questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. You can email me, you can DM me at any stage. If you are here live with me and you've got questions, I'm going to leave some time now for us to connect, and yeah, you can ask me anything that you wish. But otherwise, I'm going to say goodbye for today, and I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you.